Back again, talking a little bit about kinetic and potential energy. We mentioned the pendulum, as we swing the pendulum back and forth. As it loses potential energy when it falls, it gains kinetic energy. As it goes higher, it gains potential energy. As it loses kinetic energy. Okay, so that's kind of interesting. Fact is, the pendulum is the same thing as kind of moving in a circle. We'll be talking about that later. So circular motion and simple harmonic motion are really the same thing in essence. So storing energy. What are the ways you can store potential energy? Well, how about a spring here? You can store energy in a spring. So whether you're stretching the spring or compressing the spring, you get a spring with a big force constant, meaning it's hard to stretch or hard to compress. You're storing energy in the spring. You can bend the spring and release the energy. Molecules store energy in the vibrations of the bonds, right? So they vibrate back and forth. You can imagine a molecule swinging back and forth, sort of like this, vibrating. Like a CO2 molecule has an oxygen, a carbon, and an oxygen. One of its vibrational modes is to bend this way. Okay, another one is to bend this way. Another one is to stretch one side and compress the other side, or stretch together. That's called a symmetric stretch. You can do it with your body. I'm going to say this is the carbon atom here. Got two oxygens here. So this is called a symmetric stretch. Good exercise too. This is called an asymmetric stretch. Okay, kind of neat. Here's a bending mode. Here's another bending mode. Okay, I guess that's enough exercise for today. Although Skelly likes to store energy in a bow and arrow. Here he's got his bow and arrow set up. So he's got a means for storing energy. And here it is. And he's ready to go. And let's see if we can shoot the arrow here. You ready to go, Skelly? And then, oh, hey, all right. He's pretty good. Although you got to watch out. I think he's better at paddle ball, too. Anybody play paddle ball? Skelly, you want to show him how you're pretty good at paddle ball? Hey, Dr. Bones, where's the paddle ball? Okay, so let's hook you up for the paddle ball here. I'm not as good as he is, so I'm going to let him do this for you. So here he goes. He says he's been practicing, so we'll see. So we can store energy in the rubber band of the paddle ball, right? So back and forth, back and forth. Oh my goodness, he is pretty good here. You could do this all day. Wow, pretty good. Give him a round of applause out there. So thanks, Skelly. All right. So all kinds of fun ways to store energy. We call it potential energy. When we release the energy, we call it kinetic energy. Here I've got a frog here. We can store energy in the spring of the frog. Sorry I didn't bring my bathtub today, but all right, so here we've got the frog. He can go around the bathtub. Probably could use some ice cream now. Some delicious ice cream. Uh-oh, I guess another spring. So storing energy in the spring, you better be careful. All right. Here's another way to store energy and tell your friends they're talking too much. So let's store some energy in the spring here. Let's see what we can get this on the camera here. Whoops, come back here. Oh, let's put it down to the table here. Let's see if we can just let it go. Oops, well, I guess they talk too much. Oh well, another way to store energy. So interesting ways to store energy. Finally, I wanted to talk about the roller coaster. Okay, so roller coaster is really a transfer of potential and kinetic energy. So here you can imagine, here's your roller coaster. You're going to start at this end. Now, if you're not high enough, meaning higher than this area over here, right, as you go over this hump or barrier, if you want to call it this. If you're not high enough, you're not going to reach the top of the barrier. So if you're too low, for example, there's no way you can get up here. The potential energy is higher here than it was here. So you'll just go down in the valley and then roll back and forth till finally you're stuck in the valley. So you need to be higher. Remember, potential energy, we said, was mass times gravity times height. So the height has to be higher. So if you've got the height here, you roll, we're neglecting friction, we go up and over the barrier and then down. So we have our maximum potential energy here and maximum kinetic energy at the end. So we roll up, over, and through. Okay, so interesting aspects of potential energy. The next segment, we're going to talk about circular motion. Here's an interesting effect in a roller coaster. Right? As you go into the loop, there's an equation. You can find out how fast do you have to actually be going in the loop so that you don't fall from the top of the loop to the bottom. Okay? There's a critical velocity. You need a high enough velocity so that you can get through and then back over, as opposed to going up and falling down. You skateboarders out there who try this, it's kind of dangerous. Be careful. Know your physics before you do this. So we'll be back with that later. Take care.